post-placement support program has been developed as a way of reaching out to clients that have recently started a job and that are under the services of an employment service provider, and is an automated way of checking in with them to make sure that things are going okay for them while they're in work, and then alerting the employment service provider team when something isn't happening as it should, so that they can then reach out and make contact with them. So if they've started a job and then they get a notification on their phone that there's a chat with a character, we give the character a name, or the persona a name. They follow a link that's personalised to them, and then they have a conversation with a virtual character, a virtual being, who is a representation of the employment service provider, who asks them a bunch of questions to find out about how they're tracking, basically. Things like how many hours did you work in the last week? Are there any issues that you've got? All those types of things. I guess the really cool thing is that it's completely automated, so it's almost a set and forget from the employment service provider's perspective. They can go in and it regularly reaches out to them on a regular basis over a 26-week period. And then when things go out of range, so let's say, for example, someone was working 30 hours a week regularly, they drop down to 24 hours, that might raise a little alert in the back end, send the notification through to the employment service consultant, who then knows that they need to give that client a call. So it's a way of really bringing to the fore the high value conversations, those clients that you really need to speak to then and there, because they're at risk potentially of dropping out of work. Yeah, well, any organisation that's providing post-placement support services to clients in the workforce, a really notable example of that is those that are operating under the Workforce Australia contract. Part of that payment schemes to providers is that they're paid on milestones based on how long somebody is kept in work, with the aim of obviously keeping them in work for a long period of time. So the post-placement support program has been specifically set up to support that activity. Yeah, well, one of the things that we regularly hear when speaking to employment service providers is just the sheer volume of clients to each consultant. So what this does, to combat kind of that heavy load, is to have the outreach be completely automated, and therefore they can focus their time on the most important activities. Another one would be that once you do make a phone call to someone and you're unsuccessful on a couple of occasions, that obviously is quite dispiriting, and that's part of the job that we do often hear about, is something that people don't like doing, that constant phone chasing and phone tag that they have to play. This is a way of, once again, letting automation do the things that it does really well, and then letting the people do the things that they do really well, which is intervening and providing good services. Well, one of the cool things about it is that because it is on your phone, or it could be on an email as well, it's something that they can interact with any time of day. So traditional work hours are 9 to 5 for an office, and for many of the end users, they might be working night shifts and sleeping during the day, or they might be working in a job where their phones aren't readily available. So getting that contact with the employment service provider is hard. This allows them to have that conversation with the virtual representative of the employment service provider anytime that's suitable to the client. It's really super convenient. And then when they do need to speak to a real person, obviously that is sent through to someone to arrange a time to contact. Well, we certainly know that employment service providers have obviously all got their own CRMs that they use, and often they're quite similar across the board. And we're absolutely keen and open to integrate with those systems. We want to make sure that a post-placement support program works in the most efficient way possible for the employment service provider as well as the client, and really make sure that it is something that feeds data back into that CRM again, so that they can continue to operate within the same platform that they do all day without having to go into another system unnecessarily.